Hi guys, my name is Christine, and today I'm talking about how to overcome self-sabotage. Now, self-sabotage is a very complicated thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you my story with self-sabotage, and hopefully by telling you my story with self-sabotage, you'll be able to figure out maybe what's going on with you and why you keep self-sabotaging as well. So there's a great quote that I love from Mel Robbins, and she's been talking about this a lot in the last couple of years, I feel. And she says, self-sabotage and like things like procrastination are actually, especially procrastination, is a form of stress relief. So when you get overwhelmed, let's say with your to-do list, or the things that you need to do that perhaps are going to be uncomfortable, you use procrastination and sometimes self-sabotage as an escape. So for me, self-sabotage and procrastination are kind of like best friends in a way, because when you procrastinate, in a way, you are self-sabotaging. So let's say you procrastinate on exercising, and let's say you've been exercising consistently for a few days, and then the one day you just don't do it, you procrastinate on it, and then the day goes by, and then you no longer have time to get it in and to do it, right? That's a form of procrastination, but it's also sabotaging your success. You're self-sabotaging your exercise regime, shall we say. So basically, my story was, I went through a couple of complicated things as a kid. They weren't nice. I don't really want to get into that. Maybe one day we'll talk about those things, but now it's just not the right time. But basically, I went through a lot of stuff as a kid, and I was also quite a big loser as well. I was at the age, when this sort of thing started to happen. I was an early teenager. I was just starting to realize that I might be gay, even though I really didn't want to be. And at that time, being gay, being a lesbian, it wasn't talked about that much in schools. Like, we didn't have, people really telling us, teachers telling us about that sort of thing. Obviously, I think schools are a little bit different now, and it is a little bit more, people speak about these things a little bit more. But at that age, that I didn't, I considered myself someone to be quite rare. I didn't know that being gay was a thing that a lot of people are. So I was really scared about being gay. Because I didn't think that I would ever find anyone else like me, basically. So I was going through that as well. So basically, it was a complicated time. I had all this other stuff that was going on that was really bad. And also, I was dealing with the fact that I was gay, having crushes on friends, and dealing with that complications. And it was just a really complicated time for me. And obviously, being a teenager, it's a complicated time for anybody. But if you kind of add on being gay, and having all this other crap that was going on with me, that was really, in a way, very evil. It's not something that you do to a kid, basically. It made things extra complicated for me. And basically, what I would do as an escape, I would, whenever I felt uncomfortable, whenever I felt overwhelmed, whenever I felt like I just needed to escape, I would go and play video games. And I would avoid studying, I would avoid doing anything difficult because I just needed to escape. And that's what I would do. So I would go and play video games. But playing video games at the time probably helped me because I could escape. But in a way, it also was detrimental to other successes in my life, like studying, getting good grades, things like that. Because I started to use it not just as an escape mechanism from the bad stuff that was happening to me, but I was also using it for other things as well, like avoiding studying, avoiding exercising, things like that, avoiding things that are good for me. I was avoiding both. I was avoiding things that were bad for me and avoiding things that were good for me. And as you can see, how that kind of thing can manifest itself, right? And you may be going through a similar thing. Like, was there something that you did as a kid that now you still always revert back to? And this is something that I struggled with for a long time. Like, even when I was no longer at school and struggling with my sexuality, even when those bad things stopped happening to me, whenever I got stressed, whenever I got overwhelmed, whenever I just wanted to escape, that's what I would do. I would go and play video games, and it was detrimental to my success at university, at college, when I was doing my A levels, when all those things had sort of ended, right? And even in my early 20s, I was doing things like that, sabotaging my success, and it's a pattern that I've had to try and rewire out of myself. And it's something that sometimes I still do struggle with. Like, I can feel the pull to avoid things and to play video games where I don't have to think about things, but doing that now at this age isn't good for me, because obviously it's self-sabotaging. I don't have those problems anymore, right? So that's my story on self-sabotage. So for you, you got to analyze, like, why is this something that I've done for a long time? Is this something that I started doing when I was a kid or a teenager, and it's just something that I've just never grown out of, and I'm using it as stress relief, and I'm using it as a form of, like, to protect myself in some way? But what you got to realize is that you're no longer in, hopefully, any of those situations where you need to do that sort of thing. Okay, so you got to analyze yourself. You got to analyze, where did these patterns start? Why did I start self-sabotaging? How did I get into this? And once you start kind of piecing it together and figuring it out, you become more aware of it. And when you become aware of what you're doing, that's when you're able to actually stop it from happening, because now it's not like an automatic thing that you do. Like when I was a teenager and a young adult, that was something that I would do, and I wouldn't even realize why I was doing it, right? So then when I started to self-analyze why, just start getting to the bottom of, why do I always sabotage myself? And then I look at what I'm doing and I'm thinking, okay, well, I've done this for a long time. This isn't just a new thing. I did this actually to protect myself when I was younger, but I don't need to protect myself anymore. I'm not a baby anymore. I'm not a kid, not a scared little child anymore. I don't need to do this anymore. Like, I'm an adult, right? So once you become aware of it, you're able to start tackling it a bit better, because it might be something that you're just doing on autopilot and you don't know why. So you kind of need to pick apart your brain, analyze yourself, analyze your behaviors. Why am I doing this? When did I start doing this? Why do I think I'm doing this? And then you'll start to hopefully get better, because now you know what you're doing. You can then tackle it, and you've become aware of it. It was something that you were subconsciously doing, but now you're conscious of why you're doing it, so you're able to then change it. So one of the things I think that also helps with self-sabotage, procrastination, one of the big things that I think we do is we hide from what we are insecure of. We hide from what we're not good at. And that makes us even more insecure in a way. So for example, let's say you're really bad at socializing with people, and you have, like some sort of anxiety when you talk to people. You're not great at it, for example. But in a world full of people, you have to learn how to get good at talking with people. And the more you hide away from talking to people when you have like that kind of social anxiety, the worse it's going to get. So you need to kind of double down on your weaknesses, find out what these weaknesses are. Do you have bad social skills? That's something that you need to work on, right? And it's figuring out what these weaknesses are, what you're not good at, and then trying to overcome them, because that's what's going to make you stronger. We all have insecurities, and we all have things that we're good at, and we tend to be drawn to do the things that we're really good at because we know how to do them. It makes us feel confident, it makes us feel competent, right? But when you start doubling down on your weaknesses and trying to get good at the things that you're not good at, that's when you start to see more confidence in yourself. And if you've got more confidence and more self-esteem, you're less likely to do things like procrastinate and self-sabotage. Because when you feel good, you tend to be really motivated. You tend to, be a bit more driven. You tend to work on things a lot better. So you've got to figure out what your weaknesses are. Especially weaknesses that you need to do, that you need to work on. What are those for you? Like, some of you might be thinking, well, I'm not good at flying a plane. Yeah, but are you a pilot, right? You don't need to fly a plane if you're not a pilot, right? So you don't need to worry about strengthening that unless it's something you want to do. But things that you really know you need to do and know you need to get better at. So the big one, social anxiety, right? Or it could be that you're not good at, getting yourself to exercise. Then you need to work on those things. You need to work at the things that you know you need to do, but are perhaps hiding away from. So perhaps you're not good at reading or writing. Then you try and get good at that. Get on a course to help you with that sort of thing. Double down on your weaknesses to help make you stronger and to make you more of a, let's say, like a well-rounded person. Because if you know you need to do these things, but you're avoiding them, then you're not going to get better, right? You're not going to get better at this sort of thing, okay? So, I know one of the main things, though, that I want to discuss, and the most important point that kind of overlays this whole message that I'm trying to give out, and that is, this will take time, right? You're not going to stop self-sabotage in a day like that, right? It's something that you're going to have to consistently work on for a while, and you will fall off. You will procrastinate, you will self-sabotage again, but the important thing is you don't let it control you. Some people self-sabotage and then it takes them out for like a month before they try again, right? When you notice that you've self-sabotaged, you've done something that you shouldn't have done, you avoided what you should have done, or whatever it may be, however you've been self-sabotaging, get back on the horse as soon as possible, right? Do it. You want to get to a point where not doing the things you need to do bothers you, right? If you can get to that point where it really bothers you, what it will do is you might go for a whole day where you completely procrastinated, and then you realize, oh God, I can't believe I procrastinated on this and that. To make yourself feel better, don't just go to sleep and start fresh the next day. Do some of the things that you know you should have done on that to-do list, even if it means you lose a bit of sleep. Just try and get back on the horse as soon as possible, as soon as you notice that you've fallen off the wagon, right? But the point is that you got to realize and understand that you're human, and it is going to take time for you to overcome these things and to stop self-sabotaging yourself. But all that matters is once you've noticed you've done it, you get back on the horse, okay? So one of the things that can help you through this is, if you remember the times where you haven't self-sabotaged, right? So let's say, for example, you're kind of beating yourself up a bit, or, you're thinking, oh God, I'm really tired. I don't really want to do this, even though I know I should. Think of times when you've done those activities. Like, okay, so, I really can't be bothered to exercise today. I'm really tired. But then you think, okay, well, but yesterday I did do it, right? And if I did it yesterday, then I can do it today. And, maybe let's say you were really tired as well. Let's say you were really tired yesterday as well. But you can say to yourself, look, I was really tired yesterday, but I still managed to get my workout in, right? And I'm tired again today. So, today's going to be no different than yesterday. If I was able to do it yesterday when I was tired, I can do it today, even though I'm still tired, right? Whatever it may be. Think on times when you've actually accomplished what you need to do and think, if I've done it once, I can do it again, right? If I got through it once, I can do it again. And sometimes if you're doing something completely new, sometimes it's good to remember times where you are complete badass, basically. Like, okay, so I'm struggling with this social anxiety thing. I have to go and approach a lot of people today because I know I'm really bad at talking to people. But you know what? I was able to pass my driving test. I was able to bench press 100 pounds or whatever it may be. I was able to do all these other difficult things. So, I can also do new difficult things too. So you can use it for different areas. You can think of different times where you've done something amazing and use that as fuel to help you get through the next few moments or the next few minutes or the next few hours or the next week or the next month, right? You can use those things as fuel. So just remember times when you've accomplished something and think, okay, if I did that, if I got an A star on that paper, then I can do this, right? If I studied for that amount of time, I can get through one workout, right? You got to think of those different things because those things will really, really help you to stop that self-sabotaging behavior. So those are my thoughts. That's what personally helped me with my self-sabotage and my self-sabotaging story, and what I had to do to get that, to get past that. So thank you so much for watching, and if you'd like to get in touch with me personally, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.